What if everything you know, every star, every planet, and even you, had come out of nothing? Sounds impossible, right? After all, how could something so grand emerge from an absolute void? But modern science insists, this nothing isn't really empty at all. It may hide energy, invisible laws, and even the very seeds of creation. The real question is, does this nothing explain the beginning of it all, or is there still a greater mystery waiting to be uncovered? It's curious how the word nothing sounds so simple, yet hides such a huge trap. In common sense, nothing is that absolute void, a space without color, without sound, without life. But modern physics gave our intuition a real shake and showed that this nothing isn't empty at all. On the contrary, it's an invisible cauldron of energy, where tiny fluctuations are constantly happening. It's like opening a closet you swore was empty only to find it full of hidden things, just waiting for the right moment to show themselves. And this idea really messes with anyone's head. After all, if nothing isn't really nothing, were we ever truly surrounded by emptiness? Science suggests that in this silent space, particles pop in and out of existence in the blink of an eye, like actors rehearsing a play before opening night. Picture yourself sitting in a movie theater before the film begins. It feels empty, but the energy is already there, in the projector, in the anticipation, in the breath of the people who will soon fill the room. Once someone understands this difference, they realize the universe could have sprouted from this quantum nothing, full of hidden possibilities. That changes everything, because we're no longer talking about a dead void, but a vibrant stage capable of creating entire worlds. And this leads to the next point. If science points to this creative nothing, what happens when we put this vision face to face with philosophies and religions that always imagined a different kind of beginning? Since ancient times, humanity has tried to answer the big question, where did we come from? Philosophers and religious leaders painted the picture of a creator, a first cause, an initial point to explain our existence. The idea that something could come out of nothing seemed absurd, almost an insult to logical reasoning. But when modern science arrives with the concept of a quantum nothing filled with creative energy, it not only challenges that ancient view but also invites a whole new way of thinking. This clash isn't just theoretical, it's also emotional. Imagine someone who grew up believing the universe was shaped by a higher will, and suddenly hears that maybe everything was born from invisible fluctuations in an apparently chaotic void. It's like discovering that the story of your family, the one you've always been told, might not have happened exactly that way. It doesn't completely erase tradition, but it shakes the very foundation of belief. And that's where the true richness of this discussion lies. It's not about canceling philosophy or religion, but about realizing that science opens a window for new interpretations. Some thinkers even try to bridge both sides, suggesting that this creative nothing could be the instrument used by a higher intelligence. And so, the mystery stays alive, pushing us to look for more concrete evidence, which is exactly where astronomy steps in. When it comes to proof, astronomy is like that witness who never forgets a single detail. One of the strongest pieces of evidence that the universe really had a beginning is the cosmic microwave background radiation. This primordial echo is like the static you hear on a radio when turning the dial, a silent reminder that everything began with an explosion of light and energy. It's almost like listening to the heartbeat of the cosmos itself, pulsing since the very first moment. Another fascinating clue is the accelerated expansion of the universe. Entire galaxies are moving away from each other like pieces of dough rising in the oven. And it's not a slow expansion either, it's speeding up, as if a mysterious force, what we call dark energy, were pushing everything farther apart. This shows that the universe isn't static, but more like a living organism in constant transformation. And as if that weren't enough, we also have observational evidence pointing back to the Big Bang. Modern telescopes like Hubble and the James Webb allow us to see so far away that we're essentially looking into the universe's past. It's as if we had a time machine confirming, detail by detail, that there truly was a point of origin. And from there, the inevitable question arises, if it all began there, what exactly does this so-called Big Bang mean? The Big Bang theory isn't just any hypothesis, it's the cornerstone of modern cosmology. According to it, about 13.8 billion years ago, the entire universe we know was compressed into an incredibly hot and dense point. Suddenly, this cosmic seed began to expand, giving rise to space, time, matter, and energy. It's as if all of history was stored in a single instant and, out of nowhere, someone hit the play button. But the Big Bang raises a question that still keeps scientists and curious minds awake at night. What existed before it? That question is almost a paradox, because time itself began with the Big Bang. Trying to imagine a before is like asking what lies north of the North Pole. The concept itself doesn't seem to make sense. Even so, human curiosity refuses to let go, and from it come ever more daring hypotheses. And while the theory shows us an explosive and orderly beginning, it also leaves the door open to possibilities that defy common logic. Was this event unique, or could it have happened multiple times in different versions of universes? This possibility leads scientists to look at quantum vacuum with new eyes, not as silence, but perhaps as the true cradle of creation. The quantum vacuum may sound like an abstract idea, but in reality, it's full of hidden life. Inside it, particles constantly appear and disappear, as if the universe were quietly rolling dice. A striking example of this is the Casimir effect. When two metallic plates are placed extremely close together, invisible forces suddenly arise and push them. It's as if the vacuum itself had muscles, proving it's not as empty as we once believed. Another fascinating phenomenon is Hawking radiation, which shows that even black holes, those colossal devourers of matter and light, are not eternal. They emit tiny amounts of energy, as if slowly breathing until they eventually vanish. This discovery reinforces the idea that the quantum vacuum is actually a dynamic stage, filled with possibilities waiting to be revealed. When we bring all this together, it becomes clear that the universe itself may have emerged from these fluctuations. It's as if nothing were a kind of incubator, creating the conditions for something immense to be born. This perspective challenges our very notion of origin. Maybe no pre-existing matter was needed, only an empty space pulsing with invisible energy. And that naturally leads us to the next mystery. How did so much order and complexity arise out of this apparent chaos? When we look at the universe, it's almost impossible not to be amazed by the fact that it didn't remain stuck in its initial chaos. Instead, an extraordinary order emerged, as if someone had fine-tuned every detail with extreme precision. The physical constants, the speed of light, the electron's charge, gravity, seemed to be calibrated just right. If even one of them were slightly different, stars wouldn't form, planets wouldn't exist, and life would never have appeared. This balance is so delicate that many scientists call it fine-tuning. It's like baking a recipe where every gram of spice makes all the difference. Picture trying to bake bread without the right amount of yeast. Either it won't rise, or it collapses completely. The universe, somehow, managed to bring together the perfect ingredients, in just the right proportions, so that complexity could flourish. And it's this order that allows us to exist and ask questions about our own origins. From primordial chaos came galaxies, stars, molecules, and, eventually, consciousness. It's almost as if the universe had a secret script, but we're still left wondering who, or what, might have written that storyline. Which naturally raises the next question: how exactly did the transition from nothing to tangible reality unfold? The great turning point happens when the quantum vacuum stops being just a stage of possibilities and turns into something concrete: space, time, and energy. The Big Bang can be understood precisely as this transition, where the invisible became tangible. It's like a blank canvas suddenly revealing colors, shapes, and life, giving rise to the most magnificent painting ever created. This transformation wasn't a regular explosion but rather the expansion of everything that existed in potential. Imagine a tiny seed that carries inside itself all the information needed to grow into a massive tree. In the same way, that initial point held the codes for galaxies, stars, planets, and even human consciousness. In this sense, nothing wasn't an absence, but the promise of everything. And that's where our minds start to itch. If reality emerged from this quantum vacuum, did something else have to exist beforehand to spark the process? Some scientists argue no, that the nothing itself contained enough energy to create the universe. But that idea is as provocative as it is fascinating, leading us straight into the next debate: do we really need a prior cause to explain it all? For centuries, it seemed natural to think that everything needed a prior cause. If a tree grows, it's because someone planted the seed. If a house exists, it's because someone built the walls. But when we talk about the universe, that logic begins to break down. The boldest proposal of modern science is precisely that maybe there was no need for a before. The Big Bang could have been self-sufficient, not relying on any pre-existing matter or energy. This idea is revolutionary because it shatters the notion that the universe requires an external starting point. It's like looking at a lit candle and realizing the flame didn't come from a match, but from an internal process within the wick itself. For many, this vision sounds almost like heresy, since it challenges age-old religious and philosophical traditions. Yet it's exactly this clash that fuels new paths of reflection. And the more scientists explore this possibility, the more intriguing it becomes. If we don't need a prior cause, then perhaps the universe is, by its very nature, an eternal creator of itself. That opens the door to even bolder discussions. Is our universe the only one, or are there others emerging in parallel, each with its own rules and constants? The so-called fine-tuning of the universe is one of science's greatest enigmas. The fundamental constants of nature seem to be calibrated with surgical precision. If gravity were just a little weaker, stars would never have formed. If it were stronger, the universe would have collapsed in on itself right at the start. It's as if the cosmos had been programmed so that life would at least have a chance to emerge. This delicate balance is like a safe with millions of possible combinations, yet by chance, or something beyond, it ended up unlocking with the exact right code. Some physicists see this as evidence of something greater, others lean on an even bolder hypothesis: the idea of multiple universes. In that scenario, we would simply be living in the one that, by luck, had the perfect conditions to support life. No matter the explanation, the feeling is one of awe. To exist in a universe with such precise rules makes us realize just how improbable our very existence is. And that improbability pushes us to keep searching for answers, because maybe the secret of creation lies in the possibility that we are not unique, but part of an even greater cosmic fabric. If even nothing can hide secrets powerful enough to generate galaxies, what might be lying dormant inside you, just waiting for the right moment to come alive? The universe teaches us that even from emptiness, something extraordinary can emerge, and maybe that same law can transform your life. So let me ask you, will you keep believing you need something before to start, or will you realize that the power to create is already within your own emptiness? What could you begin today that feels impossible, but with time, might expand into a universe of your own? If this content made sense to you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because here, we'll keep uncovering the greatest mysteries of the cosmos, and maybe, the greatest mysteries of your own existence.